Hi everyone, thank you for joining our Twitter space today. We have Alan Vey, founder of Aventus, obviously, we all know him, and Ivor from MVP Workshop. You are head of tokenomics at MVP Workshop, right? Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We're going to be running through phase one of the Aventus 2.0 token redesign. So Ivor and his team at MVP Workshop recently, you're in the process of heading up the redesign. So Ivor, maybe start by telling us a bit about MVP Workshop, what you guys do, what you're all about, and what you've been brought in to do with Aventus, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Alan, and Alan also. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to work with you guys with such a great community and project. And yeah, let me introduce ourselves quickly. So we are part of MVP Workshop. We are, let's say, quite long in the space from 2017-18 as a software development studio working on different Web3 implementations. We had a chance to work with more than 40 clients in the past, working on different topics in the stacks, from infrastructure project to also cryptography and also tokenomics of different solutions. I'm leading the tokenomics department for more than a year right now. We had the chance to work on Aster network as a large client from the Polkadot community, also helped Polygon 2.0 Pol token regarding the invasion of it, and several more projects in the tokenomics space. So that's quickly regarding us and the work that we've done in the past.
Awesome, thanks, Ivor. Alan, you obviously in collaboration with Skytail Digital, for those who don't know, put forward a governance proposal to the Aventus network community to bring in MVP Workshop to work on the token redesign. Why MVP Workshop? Why token redesign? Maybe let's just catch up people who are not in the loop on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. And yeah, thanks for being with us here today, Ivor. So why MVP, first of all, right? Skytail Digital had seen some of the work that MVP had done at Astar and the great results that had come from it given their relationship. So they approached us and said, look, these guys really know what they're doing. We think it would be worth considering them taking a look and helping structure kind of Aventus 2.0 vision. In terms of why restructure something, obviously our ecosystem has been through a variety of pivots over the years, right? We started as a ticketing protocol on Ethereum in 2017, the original kind of Aventus protocol. And over the years, with the learnings and the successes and the failures, have tried to continue to derive value and generate utility within that ecosystem. So from a ticketing protocol on Ethereum to a layer 2 on Ethereum to then a Polkadot parachain and the various changes that happen from the tokenomics front through those different changes. Obviously, some things have gone really well, where we've been able to attract new clients into the ecosystem, really bring blockchain to businesses the way we've kind of set out to do. But you never do everything right, and there are always things that can be done better. And bringing in experts who live and breathe this every day, like Ivor and his team, just seems to be a great idea for the future, to make sure that both from the primitive, like cryptonomic basics, we get things right, as well as on the business side and driving this technology, the real adoption to real users at the end of the day. So that's why we're here today.
Cool, thanks. Okay, Ivor, back to you. Can you give a bit of an overview on the work that's been done so far? You obviously just finished and we published the benchmark report, which is a summary of your findings in phase one of the project. So yeah, overview of what you found so far, some of the most interesting things that we published in the report, please.
Yeah, sure. So as most of you know, as we also explained in the initial proposal on the governance, we divided the project in 3 main phases. The first one is, we can call it the discovery phase, where we work together closely with Alan and the rest of the team. First of all, to understand how Aventus is functioning today, when it mostly comes to how the token is being used for different features and utilities on the project itself. Then we also try to understand the main users that we have in the system. What is the motivation of each one of them, which you can also see in the benchmark report, where we have a table with the main motivation and incentives that we want to give to each type of users in the system. And from there, we started an in-depth analysis from the data that we get from the system to understand how the main mechanisms of FASTR are functioning today, and try to bring some conclusions from the data that we have. So we dedicated the system analysis into 4 main topics. The first one is understand the token price and how it's functioning correlated to different actors in the system. Then also the analysis of the staking mechanism, how we have it today, and again, how it's been benchmarked to other players that we think are correlated to Aventus in some way. Then we analyze the transaction fees, and at the end, a little bit regarding the governance and the activity of the user and the treasury and the funding that being taken from the treasury. So after taking all those inputs and then again discussing and brainstorming together with the Aventus team all those things, we map the main issues and how we see them today, and then try to find or at least open the door to some discussion regarding the solutions that we can bring to the table in the following phases. So I would say that was the main workflow during phase 1. We can now discuss in more details each one of those topics if you think it makes sense, and also I think it would be good to give a better explanation regarding the issues that we found and how we think we could work and fix some of them.
Yeah, sounds good. Why don't we dive into some of the most interesting issues and solutions that you've started thinking about?
Cool, makes sense. So first of all, we can see that regarding how Aventus is functioning today, we can map that we have a low usage of the network when it comes to transaction fees. It doesn't have to be the case that is that low, but we can see through time that the number of transactions is falling down. So this is something that probably should be our main focus from both sides, from the business side of things and also from the tokenomics side of things. First of all, how we're gonna, through some new vision of Aventus and some new additional work that we gonna do, also we and the Aventus team, to try to bring more users, especially more enterprise projects that are gonna generate new transactions and bring value into the system. And then from a tokenomics perspective, a more important part for us as MVP workshop is how to capture that value from those transactions and try to distribute it between the team and also the token holders, which today, probably if we see the system, how it's functioning, don't have a good way how to capture that volume and value from those transactions. So that's one thing. And especially if we try to see and envision a scenario where the number of transactions are growing and the system is scaling, how we gonna capture then that value? Because today there is some way that we try to do it, but we map that if the project is scaling and the number of transactions are growing, the way how it's functioning today wouldn't be able to translate in the best way in the scenario that we want to achieve, where we have a large number of transactions and fees collected. So that's one thing, I would say the main one. And the second one is regarding an inactivity that we can say it's in a way obvious regarding the governance and also the treasury. We can see in the last month or two that there are some activities that came out with our proposal and also some additional proposals, but I would say that's just the beginning, and we would like to see much more active community in voting for governance proposals, but also we want to take the funds that we have in the treasury and make them to work in the best possible way to find some good initiatives from the community, but also from the team itself. So yeah, I would say that would be an overview of the findings.
Awesome, thanks. Alan, you've obviously read the report more than once. Any thoughts that you had while reading it that you would like to note on?
Well, I think it's important to note that there is so much work that goes on behind just that final report, right? The depth of the analysis was significant. There have been many hours spent. I think Ivor and I have spent a good 10 hours together with the guys from Skytail Digital as well, really trying to dig into everything, understand everything, debate the various sort of options on how things can be solved. So I know at this point we've only really spoken about the analysis, but we've already done significant thinking on what can we do to try and address some of these issues moving forward. So I know those will come in the later parts of the report, but from our side at least, especially on the Aventus services side, seeing how thorough this has been done, how methodical, we can understand why MVP's had some of the success that they have so far. So it's been a good process. It's been great to learn more from experts in the field, and I feel really positive about what we will be able to come up with in subsequent phases on what do we actually do now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, that there's been a lot of work done behind the scenes to get to the stage of the final report. Ivor, can you maybe give an idea of what's next? I know both of you have hinted at, okay, we've done the analysis of figuring out what the points are that could be improved upon, and now it's a case of putting together some solutions and figuring out how to execute those solutions. Yeah, what comes next after this report?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, the next phase is, let's say, the main part of the whole engagement, where we want to create the model of the system, but the new model, where we're going to define the new system mechanisms for each of the main features that we see in the system. When I say define the mechanisms, I mean set the mathematical specification and equations of each one of those components of the system, so we can say exactly how the token going to be used and going to be distributed and shared between different parts of the system. When we talk about the main features, we can say those are the transaction fees, definitely, the inflation of the system, so the token issuance in the future. Then also how we're gonna have different additional incentive programs. I think we can already mention the liquidity mining program that we plan to have. So we're gonna have a better market share between places where you can trade and exchange the AVT token. And of course, the governance and the treasury, which we already mentioned. So we need to, first of all, define each one of those things, how they're going to function and use the token itself, and then the correlation between those things, and have them written in a precise way through mathematical equations. So that's one thing. And then also we're going to take all of this and put it in some timeline, so we know exactly in which conditions we're going to implement each one of those things and what are the events that are going to trigger some changes in the future. So what we want to achieve, and when it's been achieved, what's going to be the next thing that's going to come. So when we have all of that, we can start to think and prepare the field for the last phase. So we, during this phase, already going to start to see when we define those things, what should be the scenarios that we want to validate and we want to test in the last phase. When I mean test is running different type of simulations and scenarios and see if the things that we are defining are in a good shape and what should be the metrics for each one of the parameters in the system. So yeah, that would be, I would say, a quick overview of the current and the following phase also.
Cool. That's pretty exciting. I've had the privilege of speaking to both of you and seeing you both work together. Two pretty intelligent people and teams working behind you, and I think that it's going to be pretty awesome. One of the questions that we had, aside the obvious ones that we've covered, is way back when there was a governance proposal at Aventus to potentially split the AVT token, and people voted in favor for it, and it didn't happen due to issues outside of Aventus's control, due to third parties cooperating. Is that something that in your research so far and preliminary explorations of potential solutions you think it would be useful to explore again?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, we know about that proposal. Yeah, it happened a couple of some period before our engagement.
Yeah.
I will be absolutely honest and give my opinion. So I think this is something that is not primarily important to us. So changing the total supply in that way that we just want to have a lower price of the token and have a larger supply would not change something concretely in the token model and the mechanisms itself. It would just probably give a result that the end price of AVT would be lower. That I think, again, potentially it could create some, maybe on the first look of the token, there are some traders probably not experienced one that potentially think of buying a token just corresponded to the price if it's smaller or larger, but I don't think changing anything concretely on the tokenomics of the system itself. So I don't see a concrete reason why should we put more effort on that one, especially that we got a response from different markets and exchanges that we got a known for implementing that and for it being approved. So from my opinion, yeah, I would put it aside for now.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. Alan, anything to add on that point? Or if not, that's also fine.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, we tried our best to, I think it was, the attempts were made to try and make it happen, right? There were various parties who had suggested they'd like to see it go to vote. Obviously, the community overall decided in favor, but I kind of echo Ivor's opinion there, right? It doesn't, whether you have 1 unit representing a certain amount of value or 10 units representing a certain amount of value, doesn't really change anything to the fundamentals of how the system works. And it's much more important that through this process we get those fundamentals right, or continue to refine them rather than that. So I don't necessarily understand any reasoning for why it needed to happen, but obviously we want to be community driven. This is why we kind of try to help to facilitate it.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Anything else that either of you think we haven't covered that is worth mentioning at this point?
On my side, no, this has been great. Thank you, Ellie. Thanks, Ivor, for your insight and kind of talking it through with everybody. I'd just like to say, keep an eye out, everyone. I think the next phase of the report is, well, as we start to do the forward-looking bit rather than the looking back part, it becomes more and more interesting. So lots more to come, and hopefully we can get whoever wants to feed into these reports, please do, and help us refine the future vision of this ecosystem.
Awesome. Ivor, where can people find out more about MVP Workshop if they want to?
Yeah, also to thank you both for this session, first of all, and to add to what Alan just said. So for the community itself, please do not hesitate to ask questions on Telegram, comments on the document, feedback, any type of questions. I think a discussion regarding each one of those topics is more than useful from any type of view. So it doesn't matter from where we are coming from and what is your proficiency is. Regarding MVP workshop, yeah, each one of you can visit mvpworkshop.co and check what we are doing. Also follow our Twitter or LinkedIn profile. There are a lot of things to come, different projects that we're working on, also some ventures that we partnered with and triggered together. So feel free to check it out and see what we're doing, and reach out with any proposal or quote or questions that you have. We are more than glad to answer and help.
Awesome. Thanks, Ivor. For anyone watching this live or in the future, thank you for joining. We appreciate your time. If you haven't seen the report and you would like to, you can find it on our blog on Medium. It's linked on Twitter. If you're watching this live, then it's near the top of our page. You can always ask for a link to it in Telegram if you can't find it as well. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.